My name is C. Damodaran, Associate Professor, Department of Automobile Engineering, Bharat Institute of Aerostructures and Research, ICAR. And I'm going to take Principles of Management and Organization Behavior. We are going to concentrate on our third unit. Organizing, right? What is organizing? The process of arranging an organization structure and coordinating its managerial practices and use of resources to achieve its goals. Right? How do you understand? The process of arranging an organization structure and coordinating its managerial practices and use of resources to achieve its goals. An organization structure is a pattern of relationships through which people under the direction of a given manager pursue common goals. The organization structure is a pattern of relationships through which people under the direction of a given manager pursue a common goals. Next one, we are going to see that a definition of classical approach. The classical approach of management professes the body of management thought based on the belief that employees have only economical and physical needs and that the social needs and need for job satisfaction either does not exist or are unimportant. So accordingly, it advocates high facilitation of labor, centralized decision making and profit maximization. The classical approach of management professes the body of management thought based on the belief that the employees have only economical and physical needs and that the social needs and need for job satisfaction either does not exist or are unimportant. Accordingly, it advocates high facilitation of labor, centralized decision making, and profit maximization. Facilitation of labor. That means, right, that is called skilled labor. It is centralized decision making. Centralized decision making. Not individuals, right? It could be a centralized decision making, right? And then you can see that profit maximization. So organization concepts. One is authority. Who is authority? Who is responsibility? Right? That organization concepts. We have organization concepts. One is an authority, and second one is a responsibility. Authority is defined as the official power to act. It is a power given by the organization to direct the work of others. Example, a manager may have the authority to hire, fire, or discipline others. Who is authority? Is defined as the official power to act. Official power to act. It is power given by the organization to direct the work of others. Example, a manager may have the authority to hire, fire, or discipline others. Second one, a responsibility. Responsibility is a duty or an assignment. It is the implementation of a job. Responsibility, okay, is a duty or an assignment. It is the implementation of a job. Or understand, right? Oh, the design. What is the difference between authority and responsibility? Authority is a power given by the organization to direct the work of others. Responsibility is a duty or an assignment. It is the implementation of the job. Responsibility example is a responsibility common to many charge nurses is establishing the unit's daily patient care assignment. Example, healthcare responsibility common to many charge nurses in healthcare. Charge nurses is establishing the unit's daily patient care assignment. These are responsibilities, daily responsibilities. It is responsibilities. Authority to direct the work of others. Responsibility means, right, should have to implement, to take action. So there is an easy way. Already, right, I give an example for authority. A manager may have the authority to hire, fire, or discipline others. Here, healthcare nurses, how there is a responsibility to take care of daily patients. Okay, so there is a responsibility. It's a difference between authority and responsibility. Next one, third one is a delegation. Delegation is a process of assigning duties or responsibilities along with the corresponding authority to another person. Authority must be delegated with the responsibility. So delegation is the process of assigning duties or responsibilities along with the corresponding authority to another person. Authority must be delegated with the responsibility. Fourth one is an accountability. Accountability means that individuals agree to be morally responsible for the consequences of their actions. So this accountability means that individuals agree to be a morally responsible, for the consequences of their actions. Very important point. Example, a nurse who reports a medication error is being accountable for the responsibilities inherent in the position. Okay, a nurse who reports a medication error is being accountable for the responsibilities inherent in the position. Okay, it's a very important one, right? This and we have to follow this and what actually that is accountable for the responsibilities. Accountability. Organization concepts is authority, responsibility, delegation, and accountability. Next, we can concentrate on what is centralization and decentralization. So, centralized organization, the authority to make important decisions is restrained by top-level managers. what is centralization and decentralization. Centralized organization. What do you mean? The authority to make important decisions is retained by top level managers. Okay. Decentralized organization, the authority to make important decisions is delegated to managers at all levels in the hierarchy. Right? What is centralization and decentralization, right? So, right, you can, right, just you can think what is, there is a centralized organization. The authority to make important decisions is vested by top level managers. Then centralized organization means what? The authority to make important decision is delegated to managers at all levels in the hierarchy. Okay, that is what is centralization and decentralization. You can understand, right? Next one, we go for line and staff relations. And the best example for line and staff organization is automobile sector. Automobile sector comes under line and staff organizations. So staff, operational, so functional managers who carry out the decisions. The relationships that are established among the components of organizations are of two types: formal and informal, line and staff relations. Formal relationships are those officially established and prescribed in the manual, charts, and job descriptions. So formal relationships are those officially established and prescribed in the manual, charts, and job descriptions. Formal relationships. The three basic relations of this category are responsibility, authority, and accountability. Okay, the basic relationships of the category are responsibility, authority, and accountability. Staff relationship, all right? Line and staff, no, right? In that, I am explaining for staff, operational, functional managers who carry out the decisions, the relationships that are established among the components of organizations are of two types: line and staff relations. Two types means formal and informal. That line and staff relations. Formal relationships, right? These are the three basic of these categories are responsibility, authority, and accountability. Line relationships. Next we go for line relationships. So relationships existing between managers due to delegation of authority and responsibility and giving or receiving instructions or orders is called line relationship. Relationships, right? What is right? Relationships existing between managers due to delegation of authority and responsibility. Already I would explain authority, who is authority is having a power, who is responsible, right? Responsibility for implementing action. Okay, so I'm giving or receiving the instructions or orders is called a line relationship. Next we go for what is staffing. Staffing. So staffing is a process of filling positions, posts in the organizations with adequate and qualified personnel. Suppose we are going to recruit workers, a skilled worker, I have to recruit skilled workers to work. Likewise, just write, what do you mean? Staffing. Staffing is a process of filling position or post in the organizations, with adequate and qualified personnel. I have to recruit correct persons at the correct place, right person at the right place. Staffing is a process of acquiring, deploying, and retaining a workforce of sufficient quantity and quality to create positive impacts on the organization's effectiveness. Okay, staffing is a process of acquiring knowledge, deploying, and retaining a workforce of sufficient quantity and quality to create positive impacts on the organization's effectiveness. It's going to be capable to do acquiring knowledge, deployment, retaining a workforce of sufficient quantity and quality to create a positive impacts on the organization's effectiveness. When you mean it in a right as staff. Next, we go for fundamental concepts of organization. Fundamental concepts of organizing. The differentiations means that the organization is composed of units that work on specialized tasks using different work methods and requiring employees with unique competencies. Next, we go for integration. So integration means that the various units must be put in back together so that work is coordinated. Integration means that the various units must be put in back together so that work is coordinated. Yes. The fundamental concepts of organization, differentiation, and integration. Next, we are going to concentrate on systems approach to management. Right, that it is a collection of interrelated parts acting together to achieve some goal which exists in the environment. It is a collection of interrelated parts acting together to achieve some goal which exists in the environment. Also, so system is defined as a set of objects working together with the relationships between the objects and their attributes related to each other and to the environment. Very nice. So systems approach to management is right. We are concentrating for systems approach to management. It is a collection of interrelated parts acting together to achieve some goals which exist in the environment. So the system is defined as a set of objects working together with relationships between the objects and their attributes related to each other and to the environment. Therefore, system in simple terms in respect to management. It is a set of independent parts, different independent parts working together in interrelated manner to accomplish a set of objectives. Okay, very nice. It is a set of different independent parts working together, okay, in interrelated manner. interrelationship, interrelated manner to accomplish a set of objectives, right? To accomplish a set of objectives, right? Okay, this have to accomplish a set of objectives. Very nice. Next one, manpower planning. In any organizations, right, you can recruit, okay, manpower, HRD is a separate department is there, right? Department, right, HRD people, human resource development is a department, HRD. In that, okay, they are going to recruit different these are different peoples to different places. That means, right persons at the right place. So they recruit right persons at the right place. Okay, so manpower planning. How do you understand? See, this is regional personnel manager responsible for food retail stores in growing economy. We have got 20 stores in our area, ranging from small grocery style stores in which only 7 people are employed. In large superstores, you have got one store manager, 2 assistant managers, 12 line supervisors, 24 full-time employees, a checkout of specialists, 45 full-time warehouse and store staffs, and 34 floor assistants. Now the problem is over. The last 6 months, steadily increasing demands of your products, which in a region as whole. But the problem in wages are still stable in the organization. Right, wage. To fix the wage for all types of workers. Carefully draw a manpower plan for the organization. Carefully draw a manpower plan for the organization. So indicating where and when staffs are currently employed within the organization. Keep the information, okay, you have to draw a structure. How long they are likely to stay in that position and future projects of staff requirements. So you can assume that within your region, these are 6 city centers in which you have 2 stores each. Focus on large structures. Okay, the remaining 16 stores are located in small to medium peripheral towns. Draw a manpower chart for 12 large. How do you how do you plan to recruit a person? Next one, just you can see that aims of performance appraisal. Okay, appraisal, performance, how they are working. Okay, so give employees feedback. So identify employees training need. So document criteria. Form a basis for personnel or salary increases. So promotions, disciplinary actions, bonuses, etc. Provide the opportunities for organizational diagnosis and development. So facilitate communication. Validate selection techniques and human resource policies. Comes under aims of performance appraisal. Okay, so provide opportunities for organizational diagnosis and development. Then you can go for the importance of motivation in organizations. you should motivate, right? As a manager, you should motivate the workers. Workers are right going to do efficiently. How do you motivate them to work? Very important one, right? So the importance of motivation in organization. So motivation is generally what energizes, maintains, and controls behavior. The role of motivation in the workplace is straightforward theoretically, but it is difficult to actually measure. So next one, innovation. Managers and supervisors always want to get the best performance from their employees. Okay, so productive and efficient employees helps to increase the company's profits and growth. Okay, just to see that after you are giving this hand, so after motivated, okay, to motivate them to work, that's why you have to give for rewards, awards, promotion, everything, right? They feel to work freely. That's why that there is an efficient employees help to increase the company profits and growth. Unless otherwise, you should not motivate. Don't expect us right our growth of profits. No. That's right. That way, right, you motivate them to work freely. We have theories of motivation. That theories of motivation, cognitive social learning theory. Our behavior is determined by two factors. One is the expectation of attaining goal. Second one is the personal value of the goal. So locus of control. Our belief that we control the outcome of our own lives, intrinsic versus eccentric control. Next one, psychodynamic theory. Our motivation, theories of motivation, right? We are discussing for theories of motivation. So psychodynamic theory is our motivations comes from the deep, dark parts of our unconscious minds. The idea. We have two basic needs. One is an eros, desire for sex. Second one is an thanatos, aggression and destruction. Was trying to explain mental disorders, not everyday behaviors. Okay, so these are theories of motivation. Theories of motivation continuation is need or content theory, need hierarchy theory, Maslow theory, Maslow. Two-factor theory, Frederick Especk. ERG theory, Clayton Alderfer. Acquired needs theory, David C. Bicklein. So cognitive theories, equity theory, J. Stacey Adams. So that is an expectancy theory, Victor H. Room, Porter and Lawyer model. Theories of motivations, right? How to exercise it, right? How to use it. Okay, so from after that, I have to see that what is the workers' level, what is the workers' efficiency. Finally, I have to check the profits and groups. So far, right, I would have explained organizing, what is organizing, right? So everything I would have explained clearly. Next one, okay. Now, these are theories of motivations also I would have explained. And that need for content theory, need hierarchy theory, Maslow's theory, two-factor theory, Frederick Especk theory, and ERG theory, Clayton Alderson, acquired needs theory, David C. McClellan, cognitive theories, equity theory, just as the Adams, expectancy theory, Victor S. Room and Porter and Ironwood. Okay, so these are the theories of motivations, right? We can exercise, we can use it. Okay, so thank you.